Awesome sauce. Hey, welcome everybody to BnB Live. We are live here in our studio, and we have a guest in studio today. I want to welcome our guest, Ruben Salazar, here. Thanks for coming. And our host, Vanessa, our co-host, Vanessa, is joining as well. She's acting as crew as well as co-host today.
Well, because our little backup, unfortunately, is not available at the moment.
Yes.
So I kind of had to, do a little bit of
Yeah, we had a co-host, but she got involved in something else.
Yeah.
Our co-host said crew.
Crew. There we go. Crew. Yeah, the crew. The crew is not available at the moment. So so we have Ruben Salazar here.
Yeah.
This is really an exciting segment, you guys, for a number of reasons. And, just in the last day or so, we got together with Ruben via text message just to kind of go over a little bit about what this conversation was going to be about. We definitely want to highlight you today because you have some real roots here in the community of Santa Ana. So we definitely want to dive into that. And I know, Aldana, you wrote all the questions down. So I'm going to let you run with it, and I'll just chime in once in a while.
Well, again, welcome, Ruben. So glad to have you on the show and here in studio. And we also have a studio audience. So if you ever want to be part of the studio audience, you're welcome to come here at our Santa Ana location. We are live from Santa Ana at the Baskets and Beads studio, showroom, and warehouse. And would love for you guys to come on down, check it out, sit in on the studio audience. I'm actually thinking that we might start having like a once a month networking event.
That would be really cool.
So people could come and be part of the studio audience, and then we can connect and things more to follow on that. My head is always full of ideas, so stand by for all of that. And we for everybody on Instagram, if you're tuning in, we can't click the wave button, but we're waving at you, and thank you so much for joining because you're on your Instagram.
Yeah, I got Instagram down there, and then of course we got Instagram up there, and all the rest of the platforms running through here.
Right.
So
all right. Well, Ruben, welcome.
Thank you guys for having me. I really appreciate it.
Yeah.
I feel honored and privileged to be here with you guys. So thank you so much.
We're glad to have you.
Yes, definitely. I think something that would be a great way to start this conversation is to really kind of take it back into time a little bit and talk a little bit about your beginnings, because again, this is your community, your hometown here in Santa Ana. And so maybe you can share with our audience a little bit about your background. You obviously grew up here, so why don't we kind of start from there a little bit? Why don't you share a little bit about that?
Well, I'm born and raised right here in Santa Ana, right kind of a couple of miles or a mile or so from the studio. And my parents both came from the Gulf of Texas, by the Gulf of Mexico, and down there in Brownsville, Texas. And we had a lot of family here already when my mom came. So they made their way up here from Texas. And so I was, born here on the south side of Santa Ana, and, went to school. I went to private school, all right, and made my way into the public school system. And at that time in the 80s, there was a wide range of ethnicities in Santa Ana. So I got to grow up around a nice cultural surrounding. So, being from Santa Ana, a youngster, just, finding my way, and, going through, what any youth goes through, lessons being learned. And, I played baseball, Little League. My dad was really into baseball. A lot of, Mexican American families are really into baseball, a lot of baseball. So I did baseball. My dad didn't want me to play football because I was a tiny little guy, so he didn't want me to play football. But my uncle would always have me. I would always hang out with my uncle. He had a ranch out in Riverside, and he would get me because his son played football. That was his thing, so I was able to play a little football. But also growing up, I got into when popping and breakdancing emerged. I got into that in the 4th and 5th grade.
Okay.
So music was always a big part of my life growing up. You know, my parents being older, you know, they listened to a lot of 50s rock and roll. You know, Elvis, Chuck Berry, Fats Domino, Little Richard, Jerry Lee Lewis, all that kind of stuff. I grew up,
Yeah.
you know, with them, and my dad had a lot of vinyl. So yeah, so you know, very very cool upbringing with a lot of, like I said, just a lot of culture around as a youth.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, you know, obviously being in this town, in the city here and all that, you talked about a little bit about, you know, music, the influence of that as well, and just the culture. Kind of seems to me like it was a little bit of a melting pot then. There was a lot of diversity then as well.
Yeah, there was a lot of diversity as a youth. And then, you know, Santa Ana, you know, is now what they call a sanctuary city.
Nice.
So there's a lot of immigrants that have come from Mexico here. So this is like almost like a safe haven. And growing up, yeah, I didn't know that. You know, growing up, you know, I was lucky enough to, like I said, grow up around. I had a lot of African American friends. I had Samoan friends. I had Asian friends, whether it be Korean, Japanese, Vietnamese, even Laotian. You know what I mean? Just like I said, it was like you said, a melting pot. And then towards the 80s and 90s is when, you know, it became, like I said, even my family came here from Texas to get away from some of the. But my parents were 20 years older than a lot of my friends' parents.
Okay.
Yes. And so, you know, they were getting away from this kind of segregation from Texas.
Okay.
You know, imagine being, Mexican or Mexican American in Texas at that time. And so they wanted to come to California, you know. But like I said, for some reason, Santa Ana was this safe haven, you know, which now I'm very blessed to be here in this city. You know, I used to always say I'm gonna live and die in the city.
Yeah.
I just love this city so much. It's you know, I haven't moved, and yeah, I just really really involved and just love the city.
And so with that though, like how did that navigate you into, I think, the next question with that we want to ask you, which is the music, because that's another part of you, Ruben. I mean, we're gonna break all of it down today because we really want the audience to know who you are, all facets of you, because like you're a curator, you know, you're an artist. I mean, there's just so many incredible artistic things about you. So growing up, when did you start to dive into, after being here, when did you start diving into, like, let's just say the music scene, and then talk a little bit about that and about the genre, if you want to say, of that music as well.
Okay, well, you know, music has been a part of my life since I was a little kid. You know, my parents, as a little kid, they would be listening to, you know, like I said, their music, Elvis or KRS-One, which back then was just all like 50s music, doo-wop, rock and roll, rockabilly, all that stuff. So they would always tell me stories about when I was a baby, and I would be rocking in my crib. Like, that's how I put myself to sleep, by rocking in my crib like that.
Yeah.
But I got really, so like I said, I remember that, listening to that kind of music. And then, like I said, the popping and breaking emerged,
Okay.
which was something that was totally different. Like, my parents didn't even understand it.
Yeah.
I got into that. I saw something on TV. I saw some kids on the street doing it. I'm like, I gotta do that. And it was cool because it had nothing to do with sports. And I always gravitated towards things that were outside the box, you know. And my parents being like, okay, baseball. My sisters played softball. You know what I mean? They were, proactive in that kind of stuff. But I had gravitated towards those things outside the box. So popping and breaking, which was something that was a street, culture.
Yeah.
And dance and all that. You didn't need to go buy a baseball glove. You didn't do that. It just came all from within. So that was something I've always been this, had this big imagination. You know what I mean? Watching TV, mimicking things and stuff like that. So I really got into that. And that was pretty much my introduction to entertainment. I think was popping and breaking and dance. Okay, which was, I guess, entertainment. I see it as entertainment. And I just, I fell in love with that. And through that, you know what I mean? So that there was a little wave of that. Oh, also too, performing in front of people. I used to, during lunch, somebody would pull out a little ghetto blaster, put it on, and we started battling. Whoever knew how to pop or break, we would go against each other. And so the whole school would be there. So that was like I said, my introduction to entertainment. And, being around the crowd and getting energized and getting inspired by the crowd. Oh, you know what I mean? It's so that was my introduction to like entertaining the crowd.
Okay.
All right. So I did that, and then from there, like I said, that kind of fizzled out a little bit, and then I got into being in Santa Ana, like I said, which is for a long time it's been a Hispanic and a Mexican American community. There was a lot of gang activity too around that time that started popping up, even in my elementary school years. I started noticing certain people, the way that they dressed, this and that, and I wasn't really. That wasn't something that I got into.
Okay.
And luckily, the pop and break was something I got into. A lot of people that did it went towards another direction.
Gotcha.
But I was lucky because of the demographics of where I lived. There was more of a melting pot of culture, of different cultures and different ethnicities, right?
Okay.
So I ended up gravitating towards people that I saw that were riding BMX,
Gotcha.
Oh,
Okay.
right.
skateboarding,
Okay.
because we were lucky to be. My parents, I don't even know if they knew this, but it was really something that kind of saved me. Was being where we were at in Santa Ana on the south
You were
side.
like on a borderline.
It was like a borderline. You went towards this way more was going towards Costa Mesa and nicer properties, and
Yeah.
you know what I mean.
Okay.
And when I was growing up, that was something that really helped me to navigate and see things.
It kept you out of that trouble.
Yeah,
You would have
yeah.
went down a different path,
Yeah. And so, like I said, I saw some of my neighbors skateboarding or riding BMX, so I got into those two activities, which is also something that was not in the realm of sports.
Gotcha.
So my dad was like, "We're going to sign you up for baseball this year." And I'm like, I don't know. Yeah, and I even basketball. I got into basketball. You know what I mean? And he's like, "You're too short to play basketball," But so anyway, I got into the skateboarding and the BMX, and then also going to the beach.
Okay.
The surfing and bodyboarding and stuff like that. And like I said, that really kind of helped me go this way
Right.
in
So
life.
was it in that time though? Is that when you got introduced to the genre of music that you do? Tell us about that.
Yes, exactly. So I started skateboarding. And there was a whole little culture and a whole little scene going on with people listening to punk rock. So I got into punk rock. That's when the music thing started coming up. Somebody in my family had a guitar,
Okay.
and they were playing. And I was like, "Oh, that That's cool.
So is that your instrument of choice? Is that the instrument that you play?
Yeah,
Okay, guitar.
yeah. So the skateboarding came along, punk rock. So I started getting into a little punk rock. Somebody taught me a couple of chords here and there, and then somebody I knew was really into reggae. All right, and he was
There we go. Okay.
a Filipino
Uh-huh.
buddy that I met back in junior high school, and he was the first guy who was like listening to reggae. All right, I was introduced to reggae from one of my older sister's friends. He was a football player, Samoan brother that gave me my first cassette, which was a classic at that time, which was Bob Marley, and this was like late '80s, so it was Bob Marley Legends.
Oh.
That's the number one, reggae album, which is Legends. It has all of his hits. So he gave me that at an early age, and I was like, "What is this?" And there's something that kind of clicked with the popping and the breaking. All right, it's something that like, well, this isn't this, but it sounds. I can feel something with this.
Yeah.
Because it had a danceable.
Right. You were connecting with it too.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
it hit me.
Yeah.
So like I said, fast forward a little bit, this guy that I was skating with was really into reggae. All right. And then and he was actually growing his hair out, and then I'll be just growing dreadlocks, and I'm like, I was just fascinated with that.
The whole
And
look too.
Just
the vibe,
everything, the
Yeah.
energy, the vibe, because reggae music was also something that was built from the streets as well, from the struggle,
Right.
just like popping and breaking was built from the struggle. You
Yes.
know what I mean? From the DJing, and then also hip hop was, they say it was originated in Jamaica.
Okay.
So Cool Herc, one of the DJs, he brought that sound system, big speakers, he brought that whole vibe to New York. And he would bring the sound system, which was created in Jamaica. So there was this connection that was going on. So I saw that, and I just automatically was hooked. I got another cassette that I bought, my first cassette, another Bob Marley cassette. I think it was called Rebel Music. And in the cassette, you can open up the pamphlet, and it talked all about Jamaica and what was happening at that time when he recorded that album. And it was talking about all political propaganda in Jamaica, the two political parties, and then the gangs that were involved with these political parties. So I really dove into that, and then that's where I just got hooked.
Yeah, you went for it.
So I got hooked on reggae and got hooked on Bob Marley, really.
And so you started writing though too, right? So I mean, if we were fast forwarding a little bit, you've grown into this artistry though, right? That's your roots, but now fast forward, there's been this growth and this evolution of you, and so I mean, you're an artist. There's a band, right? You perform
Yes.
with the group, with the band, and you guys do shows, and
So
tell us about
we'll
that.
fast forward. I know I'm probably getting that way too deep into it. So anyway, got into reggae music. From there, I just became a student of reggae. Started playing with my brother I'm talking about. We had a band together called I Soul Jazz, and it was one of the first multicultural reggae bands. We didn't know what we were doing, so but we learned as we went, and people were there to watch us. We played all the backyard parties all over Santa Ana, Costa Mesa, all over Orange County, right? And so that's that was my my school and my craft, and I did that. That was something I put my heart and soul into that, leading up to right now.
Yes.
So.
And so let's some of the places that you play now, like you have a show coming up, I think, if I'm not mistaken, don't
yes,
you?
I'm actually playing a show in Long Beach at a popular location for live music called the Piazzas. It's on PCH in Long Beach. I'm going to be doing that show August 26th. I have that coming up. But reggae music was, like I said, it's in my life. It's been in my life for, I would say, almost 30 years.
Yeah.
So is that the style of music that you play then?
It's just a part of me now.
So, I've gone to a few of his shows, right? And one thing I got to definitely say, the last one I actually went to was at DPL's, by the way.
Oh, okay, yeah.
I also seen you guys at Sea Legs in Huntington. Is that Huntington? Right?
Yes,
That's Huntington, okay.
yes.
But what I do want to mention, which I think is important for the audience to know about you, what I love about your show or your shows is that the energy, the message, but really how you're all about like the whole like performance of it with everybody that's involved. Like you're definitely a team player. I can see that when you're performing on stage. Like you're appreciative of all the groups that are there, a part of the show that are performing. You're not stuck on yourself. You're not stuck just on your group. Like you're very open to like the whole show. Like I've heard you, on stage when you're highlighting and honoring the other bands and other groups that are a part of the show that you're a part of, that you're doing. You know what I mean? Like I get that sense, that feeling from you that you're very welcoming and you're very, like I said, very supportive to all the other, as a collaborative. Yeah, like you're very much about that. And I think that's really important and people need to know that because like the beauty of the show is the fact that when you can feel that unity amongst it's hard when you're doing anything and if there's strife and there's like tension and there's just like, division or whatever. I don't get that feeling when I see your shows. I really believe that you're a team player. I mean, I sense that. I feel that about your shows when I see it. I'm like, man, Ruben's really cool. He's about the whole performance as a whole. It's not just like your band or my band, whatever. You know what I mean? Because I just see it. It's in your countenance. It's like it's in your energy, but it's also in what you're saying to the audience, to the people. And I just want to commend you for that. And if you guys get a chance, you guys need to go to a show. So
I appreciate you, mentioning that because for me, it is about the whole experience when you go to a show. And also to, I want to help younger artists because like I said, I've been doing it for a long time. So I've had a lot of struggles, a lot of, trial by error. And it's, my ups and downs. And like I said, for me, it's the experience. It's what you said. It's the message. It's a message being told through the music, and for me, it starts from the beginning of the show to the end. It's a celebration to me of life, of music, and so the more we can create just this experience for everybody from the beginning of the show to the end. That's what it's all about.
So tell us a little bit more about those questions we
Yeah,
got there.
well, I mean, you've got let's switch gears a little bit. I mean, you do a lot with the downtown community. How'd you get involved in that?
Basically, through my endeavors with music, with reggae music. What happened was, like I said, fast forward, all the the work that I put in. It's not an easy profession to be in, entertainment. That it's cutthroat. It could chew you up, spit you out. So there's a lot of, like I said, there's a lot of learning. But what I did was, go, hey, I'm an independent artist. Our band, broke up, and I came back and I started from scratch. In fact, I even, we have a new band name, which is Khalifa. We used to be known as another band. But, it's a long story, but came back and I had a spot, like I told you guys, right down the street from here. Okay. And I made my way into downtown when nothing was really happening down there. Okay. I met some musicians that had a spot, like a warehouse right next to mine. Hey, come with us downtown. There was a couple of bars that were opened at that time. So I went down there. And I was like, oh, I've never been down there. I was like, this is cool. And through that, I was like, I have like an 8-piece band, 7-piece band. You know what I mean?
Good
like,
size. You're not.
Yeah.
You're not a trio.
Yeah. So I was like, there's no places down here that cater to, what I'm doing.
Yeah.
And maybe like a year later, I went and they were building a bar with a huge stage, and I'm like, okay,
that could hold my band.
yes.
There we
So
go.
I'm like,
We
I
do
gotta
this.
go down there, and I started realizing there's something happening in my my city.
Yeah, your
You
city.
know what I mean? For the longest time, I was always wanting to represent, Santa Ana
Uh-huh.
and show people about, what we have here, the culture and all that. And now here's something happening in our little downtown area.
Right.
I'm like, I gotta get my foot.
You're all.
I
Get
gotta
in
get
there.
inside there. So when that place opened, I lucked out and I was able to get an office with another partner, a tattoo artist, and we got a location. We were blessed to get a location right above a brand new restaurant
So a
called
venue.
Chapter One.
Okay, chapter one.
Okay, and so I set up my flagship little headquarters right there.
Nice.
And every art walk, I would have a keg, have a flat screen TV showing skateboarding, reggae, whatever. Would have a DJ and was letting people know, hey, I'm here.
Yeah, we're here.
Yeah, we're here.
We
I'm
know we're here.
I want people to know. And then luckily
So
I already had
cool.
some friends that were down there that were artists, and right away I just just dove in,
Yes.
and I met some amazing people that saw something in me, and I ended up doing the art walk.
Okay.
Had an amazing show at the art walk. Was able to bring the band and just let people showcase the band, and from there on I started doing what I do with the other shows. I started inviting other bands and local bands from Santa Ana, come on, let's do a show. And from that, I met a producer, and he was friends with the owner of the Blue Lot.
So before you say Blue Lot though, he was owner, this gentleman was owner of a lot. Just a lot, right? Because it wasn't called that yet, right? It was just a parking lot,
no,
right?
no,
Or what was
it was called the Blue Lot.
It was called Blue Lot.
The
Okay.
reason why it was called the Blue Lot because there were some artists that were like next door
Okay.
to the owner. He's a landowner,
Okay.
so he owned two properties,
Gotcha.
and he created the first artist like colony or little
Okay.
artist studios, okay,
Okay.
in downtown.
In downtown. So downtown has been, from what I've seen and watched, there's been a lot of work to grow the downtown Santa Ana
Yes.
area to make it a destination where people
Yes.
go and are interested. There's restaurants now, there's bars, and then we can transition into the Blue Lot came along, and so how you got involved in actually doing that.
And that, like I said, it didn't happen overnight. Even all of downtown, there's been politics, there's been drama, there's been, just so much stuff, because everybody has their own.
Yeah, well, the opposition that
Yeah,
happens. Yeah, the opposition. Yeah.
So, a friend of mine, older guy, who owned a big studio, I had no idea. Okay, he was friends with the owner of that party,
Okay.
so he loved what I was doing. We just hit it off. We were both patrons at a bar, one of the oldest bars in downtown, and I met him through a mutual friend. He introduced us. I showed him my little spot. I'm like, come upstairs. We'll have a couple of drinks. He's like, this is cool. He's like, you got to come to my spot. And I didn't know that this guy owned a multi-million-dollar studio and had worked with Discovery Channel, with A&E, won Emmys and all these things. And I'm like, wow. I felt like, somebody blessed me. God bless me, just introducing me to this guy.
Yeah.
But this guy saw something in me, talked to that owner,
Okay.
and said, man, you gotta have Ruben do a show right here at the Blue
At
Lot.
the Blue Lot.
Okay. The
Gotcha.
reason why the Blue Lot's called the Blue Lot is because some of the artists that were next door were having a good time, and they told them, hey, could we
Paint.
paint the lot? They
Can we
painted
paint
the
it
lot
blue?
blue
So like
with rollers.
the parking
The
lot?
parking
The
lot
whole
was
parking lot. And that parking lot has not been worked on for over 60 years.
Oh wow.
So I imagine like
It's a long
how
time.
long it took them. They're probably out there drinking wine and just having a good time. And they did that a long time ago. But he told the owner, you gotta get Ruben to do the show. And so my buddy, he has passed away since. His name is Bob Stewart, rest in peace. He introduced me to a lot of people. And when I came into Santa Ana, I didn't have too much when I came into downtown. I had a pair of cutoff Dickies, not one, but has and I came and but he saw something in me, and
That's so cool.
because I was hanging out with this guy who was like kind of like a pillar in that
Mhm.
trying to make things happen,
Right.
uh, they're like, who's Bob hanging out? Who's this guy he's hanging out with?
With the
You know
cut
what I
off
mean? Like,
dickies.
yeah, with these like cut off dickies that come down to here.
I love
And
it.
he's like,
That's so cool.
well, if Bob likes him, he must be. Hey,
Yeah,
I'm
Right,
doing
it
it.
must be all right. Yeah.
Nice to meet you.
Yeah. So
A lot of the times they say it's not what you know, it's who you know. And
Yeah,
it's like,
right.
It's like, oh, this guy must be okay if he's hanging out with him.
Yeah.
yeah. So
Yes.
and that was something that like really inspired me and motivated me to start really getting my act together.
Gotcha. So after you performed there at the Blue Lot, though, I mean, what solidified? Because people need to know like what your role is there essentially, right? So, but how
And
did it?
maybe share a little bit about what the Blue Lot is for people who
Yeah.
don't know.
So that first event that we did, I got together with this downtown organization. We came in there. I had a great friend of mine that came in and helped me organize the show.
Okay,
I brought in Red Bull. I already had a connection with Red Bull.
like a sponsor or
Yes.
whatever. Okay.
So they came in and sponsored. They gave us some drinks, some tables, some magazines. We got K Rock to come out. We got Stone Brewery. We got a lot of the local, like 5 different local restaurants to come in and do the food. I invited some of the businesses to come and set up booths to
Nice.
showcase their brands, their clothing, and all that. Brought in the stage. We did that show, and that's when the owner was like, "This is what I want to see more of this." So later on down the line, because it was known for the graffiti art,
Gotcha.
so a friend of mine was like, "Hey, how about you can
Like an artist, someone who does
a
like
graffiti artist.
muralist
You can tell the
graffiti
owner
artist.
to go in there." So I talked to the owner. He let me come in and do a piece. This guy was a tagger who was kind of reformed and got into yoga,
Okay.
Kundalini yoga.
Okay.
So he was all about spreading messages of consciousness and all this.
Okay.
So he did a piece about consciousness, and the owner was like, "Oh, this is amazing."
Now that's a big mural then. I mean, because you got some big walls there.
Yeah, so
People-
he did something different, and then from there is how I got involved. You know what I mean? Because there was a lot of taggers, and the city was really trying to close that spot down.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? There was people that didn't like the Blue Lot. They said,
So explain to the audience who doesn't know what the Blue Lot is, what it is.
the Blue Lot is an open parking lot that used to be a Cadillac dealership. It's just this big space that used to be a Cadillac dealership back 60 years ago. All right, and then it's just been this vacant lot for a long time, and it had some broken down walls, and taggers would just go in there and do graffiti and all that, and that's where we did that first show. So it came up. They came up with the name of the Blue Lot because of the floor, and they tried to get a couple of things off the ground, and nothing really stuck. So when I came in and did that first show, that was like I said, the owner was like, "Man, this is great.
Yeah.
Can we do more of this?" And I'm like, it costs money to do it. So I'm like, let me like, we'll do something later on, but that's a lot of work. But when the art came along and different artists wanted to come in, I started kind of overseeing that.
Gotcha.
And then that's when we sat down and he said, "Hey, Ruben, can you do some more things? Can you then we came up with an agreement, and I started managing the property.
There you go.
So when I started managing the property, he's like, "Hey, we started figuring out ways that we could create revenue."
Right.
So I started doing parking, the cheapest parking in downtown. I started getting active with all the artworks.
Mhm.
I would open up a lot, but it was just like these were baby steps
Right.
into what you see now as a Blue Lot. Because I've been doing it by nickels and dimes.
Right.
Creating, getting assistance from different organizations that have seen what I've done over the years, and we've been able to make small renovations. We've had some pushback from the city. You know what I mean? They wanted me to do all kinds of repairs that cost way over
Right.
the bracket of what I can put in. But luckily, I was able to work with some council members, mainly Jonathan Hernandez was a huge help on assisting me so we can get the lot open, up and running. So we've made some renovations, and now the lot is. I'm very proud of what I've been able to do with a little bit of resources, and turn it around and been able to create a space for small businesses, for artists, for musicians, to come in and to showcase. And it's kind of like an incubator for small businesses to get their foot off the ground. We've seen some businesses start at the lot. Like there's an event that we started there. A couple of vendors came in and started an event called Friday Night Lunches, which that event now is happening on Bristol and Edinger. There was a couple of different entities in the city of Santa Ana that it went to, but as of right now, it's on Bristol and Edinger. So that event started at the Blue Line. Another event that took place there was the Gente Night Market.
Yes.
Which is a female organizer. She's amazing, Alexis Garza.
Yes.
And she started at the Blue Line, and she went on to host that event at the Heritage, because we were still having some issues with the city. So they went scrambling to find other locations.
Right.
But like I said, I'm very proud with the people that came in and they saw the lot and the vision that I had there, and we were able to execute some of these markets and have some success with them.
So what it is, he's basically a manager
Yeah.
for this event space called the Blue Lot in
Yes.
downtown Santa
And if
Ana.
somebody wanted to go see that, they could go on Instagram. It's Blue Lot.
Blue Lot, just all one word,
Right.
Blue Lots.
And if somebody was on Facebook or LinkedIn or YouTube, is there a website, or they just
We have Facebook, which is Blue Lot as well,
okay?
and Instagram.
Okay.
So
Okay,
those
so-
two social media outlets are my pages.
Yeah, so if you want to go check it out on Facebook and Instagram, go to Blue Lot and check it out. You can see videos and photos of some of the events of what it looks like. There's some really cool artwork there, so you can check that out. We're actually considering having an event there as well, so we'll keep an eye on that for the future. We got all kinds of things always going on around here.
Yeah.
That segues into another question you mentioned about supporting small businesses. So that's what you're doing there. You're obviously passionate about helping small businesses. Why do you think it's important for small businesses to have that hand up or to be helped along?
Well, being a musician myself and still being an independent musician, I know, like I said, from the struggles that I went through, I know how hard it is, and I care about other artists and musicians, and that's one of the reasons why when I came downtown, I wanted to help younger artists not go through the pitfalls that I went through. You know what I mean? And it was a slow start because people saw me and they're like, "Who's this guy? Who are you?" You know what I mean?
Yeah, they're all a little sketchy there, but no.
Yeah. There was,
Yeah.
so, but a lot of people's perceptions have changed. But a lot of people know me. I do property management in downtown. But my going back to the question, I feel as somebody who's also a dreamer myself, I know how people can be passionate about what they're doing, whether it be clothing, whether it be art, whether it be music, and I want to help showcase these small businesses, these people that have these talents, these entrepreneurs, and in doing so, the Blue Lot, and I get to shine as well. So this is just a community of people helping one another.
It's a win-win.
It's a
And
win-win.
it should be that way.
Yeah.
It should always be like everybody that's involved, it should be a win-win situation. Could you also say that maybe because you know what it's like for someone to believe in you and let's say make the investment in you, that now that you're on a different platform where you get to the same, because it's almost like that paying it forward kind of thing. Because you knew what it was like to feel like, man, like if only somebody or something would give me a chance at an opportunity, and you are where you're at because somebody did do that for you.
I'm
And
glad
that
you said
the
that.
power of that and the importance of that and that we need to be doing that as well. Even when and if we get to a place of like, you know, whatever you want to call it, prestige or whatever that is, you know, or you kind of like you've arrived in some way. You should never forget about the fact that you weren't always there. And the reason why you're there is because someone believed in you, right? And so now you have a platform, the power, if you want to say, the influence to do the same for somebody else. And I think that that should be something that we all do when we get to that place. It should be something that we all should do for people as well.
I'm glad that you mentioned that because these people saw something in me. Feel very blessed that God put me in that path.
Right.
And yeah, I still feel there's a lot of work for me to do at the Blue Lot. I still feel I'm just getting started. You know what I mean? But I'm this year has been a good year. You know what I mean? I have some city officials and even the last mayor has been very supportive of what I've done on the property. And like I said, I'm paying it forward, and I'm continuing to grow as I do that. So
Absolutely.
And what goals do you have for the near future with everything that you're doing?
Well, see, the Blue Lot I've always seen it like this, as a one-of-a-kind location. There's nothing like it in Orange County. And my goal is to make it a landmark in the state of California, but also in Santa Ana. My goal is also to make it something for people to come and see, to get a taste of the culture of our city. You know what I mean? Some people go to LA and they go to Alvera Street.
Right.
And they go, we go to Alvera Street and we can see, and that's what I want them to do when they come to the Blue Line. I want them to come and see the art, see the artists and the imagery and take the culture in, but also just provide a space for everybody, not just one genre or one particular event, for all events.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean?
Right.
And this is why we've been talking about possibly having an event there, because the fair trade work that we do, it's all about artisans that are creating that artwork, whether it be jewelry or clothing or even tea or some other type of product. Some people create like cups or bowls or all different type of fair trade items. They're all created by artists that just need an opportunity for their products to be shown. And it just sounds like the perfect place to have a fair trade event.
I'm really, not only am I honored to be here, but what you guys are doing to me is something amazing. You know what I mean? And to be asked to come here, like I said, it's a privilege. And to have you guys representing these artists, these individuals that are, for me, it would be a blessing to even be able to find organizations that can bring these individuals out so they could, you know what I mean, be introduced to our community. And that's what I'm saying. This is something totally different than what I normally have on the property.
But it speaks to your vision, because like you just mentioned right now, you want that full, like the diversity. You want to be able to showcase all facets of downtown. And this, I mean, we're here. We're in the community.
Yeah,
we're
in Santa Ana now.
We're part of Santa Ana. We're here, and we're looking to get more of that traction too, where people know, like, we have established a home base here, and this is what we do. This is what this movement is all about, and that's even why BnB Live even started, is for this reason, to be able to have these conversations, be able to get these conversations out onto the social media platforms, so people are watching it and listening to the segments and realizing, like, although of course we definitely want to continue to push and promote baskets and beads as well, the products, the beautiful products. Eldana is open to the community. She's open to connecting with other entrepreneurs, other artisans within fair trade as well, and showcasing them, because we're really, you know, we're stronger when we pull together and we work
Yeah.
together and we collaborate as opposed to being like, again, divided and just, you know, it's like, you know, we don't have time for that. We're about, you know, growth and again, it's a win-win situation. So let's hit the ground running and let's do this, you know,
Yeah.
make it happen.
It's crazy, you know what I mean? Because like they say, it takes a tribe.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean?
Yep.
To bring something together. It's not just one person. It's just a whole community. It's like that tribe. And it's like, you know, it's almost like what you guys are doing with some of these people that are creating these handmade goods.
Yeah.
You know, and like I said, I mean, I can't wait till you guys are ready to come out to the new line. You know?
It's about the whole thing about, like you're saying, win-win, the collaboration. It's surrounding yourself with people who want you to win, and being able to connect and everybody. There's enough room at the top for everybody, and being connected and sharing platforms, sharing networks, just sharing and saying, hey, look, you know, I'm honored to have met you, and I met you through Vanessa. I wouldn't have met you otherwise, and it's great that we're here just sharing about the things that you've done, and then we're talking a little bit about baskets of beads, and people are hearing about the Blue Lot, and maybe somebody else might think, oh, maybe I'll go there, or somebody else be like, oh, I want to check out his music, and then you never know who might you get connected to just from somebody watching this segment. And then they'll go check you out, or somebody that you know is watching, and they'll go check baskets and beads out. And that's kind of the way it works. And if everybody would realize that there's enough room at the top for everybody, and that everybody can win, I think that the world would be a much better place.
Yeah, it's collaboration.
Yeah.
Collaboration and introducing people to new things, and yeah, I'm all for that. I'm all for that. In fact, this Sunday we're doing a free event at the Blue Lot. It's called the Home Plus Market, which is it's like a buying market where you come out. So we have some DJs. We have it's really themed around the Santa Ana community and our residents and small businesses from within the community. So it's happening this Sunday at the Blue Lot from 1 to 8 p.m.
Oh, that's gonna be a good,
Yeah.
you know,
That's the
time.
time frame of the event. Yeah.
very cool.
Yeah.
What other questions do we have?